Okay, so to recap, small town boy, big family kid, moved out here 5 years ago with my master's after leaving my PhD. And this is my partner, Omar. He just graduated with his PhD last week, Friday. These are our 3 cats, Yasmina on the left, Asuli in the middle, and Sky on the right. We are a mixed family. Yasmina was Omar's from the beginning. Sky, I adopted from a roommate, and Asuli we adopted together. And it looks like they love each other. They don't. They hate each other's guts. But for a treat, they'll calm down. This is my youngest sister on the right, Angel, and my parents who were out here visiting. This is, you guys know what hike this is? Anybody recognize this? Avid hikers out here? Yeah, it's kind of a weird angle anyways. This is Donut Falls up in Little Cottonwood Canyon. Beautiful place. That was my first time going, actually. Okay, I want to especially give those of you that came in just a little bit ago some time to fill some of this out. I would like to give you all a platform today to share a little bit about yourselves as well, to help me get to know you. In the meantime, I want to set some expectations for the course. So we can talk about things from the syllabus, but I also want to set expectations for things that might not be in the syllabus. On that worksheet, I also am asking you to reflect on some things. I know it's 8 a.m. and the gears are still going. I think I'm the only one I see with coffee, so that's just me, I guess. But think about, what are you excited about learning in this course? What are you excited about for being in this course? What are you anxious about for being in this course? I'm going to give you guys some time to collaborate on this concept map as well. If you've already filled in some ideas, that's good. It gives you a head start. You can help out some of your classmates. And then I'll give you guys some time to reflect on the syllabus as well. So first, general expectations. This is an 8 a.m. course. So if you are someone like me and you struggle getting out of bed in the morning, I don't expect you to be here. I hope you'll be here, especially if that's your learning style, but I'm not going to hold you to that except for exam days. We have a midterm on July 1st, and we have our final on August 6th, and you have to be here in this room on those days. But other than that, it is your discretion whether you want to come or not. If you don't come to lecture, you can try to catch the lecture recordings and make up the notes that way. But then it's a little bit more challenging for you to ask questions and to engage in the material. Plus, I can't guarantee that every video will be perfect. I've had lecture recordings where the audio fails, where the video fails, where my phone dies, where I forget to press record. So I do have old recordings. Summer, fall, and spring of these last 3 terms are all posted on a YouTube channel. And things change, but the more they change, the more they stay the same. So you're able to get an idea of what you missed, even if a lecture recording is not there. Also, if you're coming in late, that's fine. Please don't be worried about coming in late to the class. It really doesn't disrupt me at all, more than my own brain already disrupts me. So just come on in. Come be engaged. Come be a part. This is your classroom just as much as it's my classroom, so come be a part of the classroom. Food and drink. I had a student last summer who would wake up at like 4 a.m. and so 9:15 was his lunch. That was lunchtime for him. So he brought a sandwich and unpacked it at 9 o'clock every day and had a big lunch. But if you want to bring in food or drink, just make sure that it doesn't smell so good that I want to eat it too. Electronics policy. I couldn't care less if you are doing whatever you need to do, as long as it's not loud and interruptive and distracting. I will admit that I would not have passed Calc 2 on those Friday afternoons in the spring after eating lunch and sitting out on the grass with my friends and then going into an ice-cold lecture hall to listen to a professor talk about integrals. I would have slept every single day unless I was sitting on my phone playing games. Because I was playing games on my phone, I was awake and I was attentive and I could write down the notes that I thought were relevant. So if you need to stay on your phone to stay awake, have at it. If you want to take a beauty nap in class, have at it. I'll consider it a badge of honor that you consider this a safe place to sleep. So food, phones, and tardiness, it's fine. Happens to the best of us. How about some real expectations? I like to do cold calling. I like to point out people and ask them to answer my questions. I really engage with my class. I actually try to scale back how much I engage so that we can get through our material on time. But I like to engage a lot. So is it okay if I set the expectation of cold calling so long as you have the expectation that you can say no? If I call on you, you don't have to answer, but is it okay that I have the expectation to call on you? Maybe this isn't the place for you guys to give the feedback to, so if you want to message me later with any concerns you have about today, that's fine. I saw recently actually a cool way to switch that up, which was if I call on you and you don't want to answer, you cold call somebody else and ask them to answer the question. I kind of like that idea because it means that you're not free of responsibility, but now you are in charge of figuring out who else has to answer the question. So if I call on you throughout the semester, take your time to answer, pass it to somebody else, or just say, not going to happen. Good morning. Expectations on the way that you interact with your classmates. First of all, sorry, there's your little sheet. As a learning environment, I want this to be a positive learning environment. So I really don't tolerate talking negative about yourself or your classmates. So if you have something that is not kind to say about the person that's engaging in the class, I just keep it for yourselves. But if you want to retarget the conversation, then just engage. Raise your hand and take that other person off topic and back onto the topic you want to get to. Yeah? Treat others the way that you want to be treated in this classroom, and that is with respect. So that's one line that I am going to stand by, something that I will try to nurture in this environment is an environment of positive learning. Okay. Other expectations that you guys would like to set for this class? Good morning. No worries. This is to tell me a little bit about yourself. Okay. Then I am going to have you guys turn in towards the people around you. And on this worksheet, work together on this concept map. See if you can find 5 things, 5 ideas, 5 topics that are related to organic chemistry. And then go through the syllabus. If you've got your phone or your laptop, you can pull that out and look through the simple syllabus on Canvas and pull out 3 things that stand out to you. Maybe they are things that confuse you. Maybe they are things that excite you. Maybe they are things that you don't see on the syllabus that you want to know about. And we're going to spend the next 15 minutes going through the concept map, and then when you as a group are done with that, move on to the syllabus. Yeah? And if you don't get into a group, I will get you into one. Okay, have at it. Good morning. You're welcome.
I'm good. How was your break? I went to Ireland and Scotland and it was good. Okay.
I don't know, like everything I'm thinking is like
I'm Jordan.
more more reactions.
No, you know what? Well, it's part of so I'm just thinking to put all the rest of my degrees off. That's why I was like, ugh. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, I have to finish my degree. I took it from part of the lead semester last semester. It was brutal. So I'm like,
Yeah, I took it with Natalie Delmain last semester. Yeah, she was awesome too. Yeah. So I'm rusty. I took the lab last semester, and so we'll see how I do. Yeah, I've seen synthesis is one too. Spectrum, you could do like SN1, SN2.
I'm lucky to be here, but it was still wrong.
Well, I guess it depends on the day.
Then I also put, I took my day for my first cycle, but
It's alright. I got
so good.
No, it's alright. But like back to school, school are more stuff. I'm trying to go to middle school. Yeah, you guys are they're both 3 years, so I'll have to go with 3 years. Yeah, They do, but it's just like realistically, I'm not trying to sports that affect myself. So I reached out to somebody about it. It's just a lot. Yeah, I think it's really just for the shave off a year. Yeah, it's just a little bit more expensive. You know, it's just a year.
That's like the big thing for me is like if the professor records our lectures, like I'm in lecture, I can write down like revisit this. And that's the Are you what major? Yeah, I have I got my associates. I was gonna just do like He's trying to convince me to go to med school.
Morning. Good, how are you?
Sorry.
No worries. We are in groups right now, just looking over the syllabus.
Okay.
We're going to go over that in just a few minutes.
Okay.
But if you want to spend some time just letting me know a little bit about you on this,
Okay, cool.
and then we'll catch you up to speed.
Awesome.
Hi. Good. How are you doing? Feel good on the syllabus? Yeah? Same as always. Good morning.
When can I get my exam?
Oh, I meant to grab them. Yeah, well, I have another class in here at 10.
At 10, okay.
So I could like literally run over to the other room tomorrow. Are you coming to class regularly?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be here tomorrow. Can I grab mine tomorrow?
Yes. Or lab? Are you guys in lab?
I'm on Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday night. Okay. So tomorrow I'll just bring my whole pack.
Okay.
But for you, if you don't know that you'll be here every day, do you?
Probably every other week with my work schedule, so I don't get off until 8 a.m., so.
Oh, so you're coming here after work. Good evening to you.
Hi.
You could email me and just let me know what day you will be coming in so that I can remember to grab it. You bet.
Oh, really? His is.
Okay, 2 more minutes to wrap up looking over the syllabus.
Crazy how much like I'm sometimes working on most of them here, and then I got my subject and I took the last 3 semesters right here. So like, the biology one, I was hoping, I don't know, if it I'm taking for the
Then I decided to take a gap year because I burned out. So I was doing like 19 credit hours a semester. I was working full time. I did so many extracurriculars too. I was running club. I was doing lab research. Work. I was like, I'm graduating. I'm taking a gap year. I'm gonna go do whatever I want. Yeah, veterinary medicine. It was fun. It's just I also signed up because I was working in the emergency room. So I was doing like I was typing at night and I would go to class in the morning and helping at the ER. Because even though we closed at night, we still had somebody come in at night. It took hours and we were backed up. We wouldn't leave until like 2 and I'm like, whoa.
Okay. Can I hear from some of you guys what you're excited about for this course? You?
Carbonyl reactions.
You're excited for carbonyl reactions because you saw it on the DAT. Yes. And we're going to do a lot of carbonyl reactions. Before the midterm, we're going to see a handful of reactions that make carbonyls and react with carbonyls as they regard to alcohols. And then after the midterm, it's carbonyls the rest of the semester. So you guys know what a carbonyl is? Can I see who doesn't know what a carbonyl is? A few hands. Do you want to take a guess?
Carbon with something.
You're right, it is carbon with something. Congratulations.
Is it like a carbon with an alkyl, right?
No. An alkyl would be kind of like a carbon.
Oh, that's true.
Carbon, who wants to tell them? What's a carbonyl? I mean, that name, it's not a bad guess because carbonyl doesn't really explain what is going on in that bonding pattern. Now, we can't necessarily say what the R groups are, so the carbonyl is generally just this. There will be other things connected to it, whether it's carbons, hydrogens, oxygens, halogens, sulfurs, 2 other groups. We could kind of say that carbon dioxide is a bit of a carbonyl. It's like a dicarbonyl. It's strictly a carbonyl carbon. But that's where the language and the words we use to describe things starts to get a little blurry. But yeah, carbonyl, CO double bond. Great. Anything else you guys are excited about for this class? We didn't do a lot of carbonyl chemistry in OChem 1, except for alkenes being cleaved into carboxylic acids or aldehydes or ketones, or alkynes being hydrated into aldehydes or ketones. Can I get one more thing that you guys are excited about? Maybe let's hear from both of you.
IR spectroscopy.
Okay, you're excited about IR.
Just because it's interesting to see how, I guess, you're able to do that just from looking at like a graph.
Did you learn IR in your OChem 1 class? Where did you take OChem 1?
UVU.
Okay. So it was expected that you'd learn it in OChem 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it not taught here?
Yeah, we'll review it.
Oh, okay.
But we teach it in our OChem 1 curriculum.
Oh, okay.
So it's really just going to be kind of a review. I will say the way that I test on IR is similar to the way that you would see IR being tested on if you were taking the MCAT, or did you see any spectroscopy on the DAT?
No,
Yeah, I don't think so.
they teach you, but you don't know what you're gonna get.
I see. So the questions, I do put some IR, some spectroscopy on my exams, but very little. It's not a major part of our course this semester, but we'll review it.
Okay.
And you'll do it in lab. Are you in lab?
I took the lab at UVU.
You're already done with the lab. Okay.
EAS reactions,
That's a very specific type of reaction. Why are you so excited about EAS?
because I feel like that's the one that I really learned very well.
Sure.
So,
We spend a lot of time on it, right? There's a lot of little details about EAS, and we'll spend a good deal of time on it. Okay. Things that you're anxious about? Can I get new volunteers? Anything you're worried about going into this course?
Synthesis.
Yeah. You know, I've always said with synthesis that it requires some creative thinking. You have to really be able to imagine what is possible. But the difference between creative thinking and critical thinking is a knowledge base. Critical thinking is having a bunch of information and being able to think critically about how to use it. Creative thinking is what I see on exams where students make up reagents. That's very creative. It doesn't exist, but it would have gotten you there if it could have existed, maybe. So synthesis requires creative thinking with the understanding of all of the reagents and how they're used, which makes it that critical thinking. It's a fine line between them. I can see why it's challenging or something you're worried about, and we'll spend time on it because of that. Thank you. One more. Vivi. You're worried about nomenclature. Everybody hates nomenclature because it's so easy, and they feel like it shouldn't be so easy, right? We will do nomenclature mostly in the second half of the semester. We'll do some review in the next couple of weeks, but we'll do nomenclature mostly in the second half, and we'll do carbonyl nomenclature, which I think is very fun. So yeah, you will see it. Okay. What about concept maps? Can I hear from some of you about things that you thought were connected to organic chemistry? I know I gave you 5, but I think we can get 6 out of this room, yeah? I heard yours earlier. You want to share it?
Which one?
Oh, the first one, I think.
Functional groups?
Oh, no, but that's a good one. Functional groups is perhaps the most important part of organic chemistry. If you don't know your functional groups, synthesis becomes very hard. If you don't know your functional groups, doing mechanisms becomes very hard. Predicting reagents becomes very hard. So how do you learn your functional groups? Flashcards? Did you really? Do you have an online version that you can share with the class? So make your own flashcards. How else do you guys study functional groups? Analysis assignments. I'm going to have you guys do an assignment this semester where you pick a compound to analyze, And one of your first activities with it is pulling out all of the functional groups in that compound. Because if you can't do that now, then you need to know that so you can start learning them. Okay, what else? Conjugated molecules. And what does conjugated mean?
Has to do with having two alkenes in certain positions, like sort of how to make an alkene bridge.
We're going to expand that definition even this semester. It starts in OChem 1 with conjugated dienes, having two alkenes connected to each other. But conjugation, I like to think about what that word means in the entire context of our vocabulary. I think of my high school Spanish experience. I conjugated verbs. I took, now I can't think of a word, ser, yeah, to be, and made it soy. No, I'm going to stop there. I don't even know if I'm doing that right. But you get the idea. You can conjugate verbs, which means same, but different, different. That's what conjugation means. And when we talk about conjugated molecules, we mean their p orbitals create a pi system where the electrons are actually all the same over the system despite actually being a little bit different. And I'm going to make sense of conjugation by using molecular orbital theory this summer. How many of you learned molecular orbital theory in Gen Chem? Oh, wow, that's a good number of hands. How many of you learned MO theory in OChem 1? My class. Okay, so I love that. We're going to do a lot with conjugated systems, especially with our aromatic systems. Aromatics are conjugated, and the conjugation of aromatics plays a huge role in their reactivity. Something else. 4 more. Sorry, I'll stop trying to talk so much about them, but you're getting really good ideas. You really can't go wrong here.
We said carbons.
Yeah, that's the one that I heard. Carbon is central to organic chemistry. 3 more. Substitution, elimination.
You said organic
Reactions. I think I'll put those all together, like SN and E reactions. How about yours? I mean, the thing you were worried about is very central.
Yeah, synthesis.
Synthesis is huge. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but every organic professor teaches synthesis different, has different expectations of synthesis. I think I overheard you were in Professor Dalmain's class last summer. She is a true organic chemist. She has her PhD in organic chemistry. I am a pseudo-organic chemist. I have my master's in inorganic materials chemistry. I designed and ran one synthesis in my time, but I made a lot of materials and characterized their properties and analyzed them for electrical conductivity. So I am a textbook with legs, as much as an organic chemist could be. So the way that I ask synthesis might not be the same way that she did, because she has had ideas in her head that she wants to instill into your head, whereas I have had ideas instilled into my head from other people. You know? So be prepared for that. If you've had OChem 1, which I think is most of you, OChem 1 with a different professor, you might have a bit of an adjustment curve coming into my class, just the way that I teach things and the way that I ask things. Okay, last one. Justice?
Chirality.
Yeah, chirality is very central. So do you remember what chirality means?
Like the
Handedness. Literally comes from the Latin word for handedness. If you have hands, you are chiral. That's what it's trying to say. But it is the antonym of symmetry. Symmetry and chirality are just opposites of each other. So chirality could also be called asymmetry. And this idea is that asymmetry is so important in chemistry that it got its own name. Symmetry is so significant, asymmetry is so significant that we just call it its own thing rather than referring to it as the lack of symmetry. Very interesting. Okay, let's transition to the syllabus. What stood out to you? Can I get 3 things?
A handwritten cheat sheet.
Okay. Let's talk about that a little bit. The midterm, you get one side of a cheat sheet. And I do want it handwritten. I understand that a lot of you have tablets these days and that your handwritten notes are electronic. I'm going to ask that your handwritten notes are handwritten on paper and not printed from your tablets. That is really the only way that I can create a baseline for cheat sheets, is that everybody has pen and paper. Well, actually, if you don't have pen and paper, come and talk to me. I will get you pen and paper. But not everyone has tablets, and tablets can be manipulated more than pen and paper can.
Can't shrink down all my notes.
That's what I'm saying. You're right. So no printed materials, only handwritten stuff. For the final, I'll give you 2 sides handwritten. I do not keep these cheat sheets. I don't want these. I know all this material. It's for you. So my goal is for you to walk out of this class prepared for whatever you need to do next. And if that means giving you Cliff Notes, the highlights of OChem 2 that you designed, the things that you think are the most important, the things that you want to remember leaving this class, I want you to leave with that. I've had students that write one side for the midterm and then just write a second side for the final, and they take their midterm sheet into the final with them. Did you guys do that at all? Brenna did. So take advantage of this. I have to put this disclaimer here. This is not an advantage. My colleagues would like for me to stop allowing this, but they also give me academic freedom. And my exam scores don't really say that this is an advantage to you either. My OChem 2 class that just ended a couple of weeks ago, they had like a 5% curve on their final to bring them up to a 75 average. I think about a third of the class had a failing grade on the final, and maybe 3 of the students had an A on the final, and then the rest were between B's and C's. And I gave them 2 sides of a piece of paper to bring in with them. So my exams aren't easy. I think those of you that have had my OChem 1 class can agree. They're not easy, but they're not made to trick you. But despite giving you this resource, it's not like it's a get an A free card, right? Why I give you this opportunity is so that you can study. I'm trying to incentivize you addressing the material that you don't understand. So my recommendation here would be revise, revise, revise. Make one version, then make it again, then make it again, and bring that version of the cheat sheet into the exam. If you come in with a cheat sheet that you made the night before, or if you stay up all night making the cheat sheet, it's not going to help you at all. You're not going to know what's on there. You're not going to know where it is. And you're not going to actually know whether those things that are on there are things you need or things that you actually know. It's just going to slow you down. It's going to distract you. But if you make a first version, review it, make a second version where you pull off the things that you really don't need, make a third version where you clarify the problems that didn't quite help you, then that third version that you bring in, you're never even going to look at because you've reviewed it so much, you've got it in your head. One of the reasons I allow cheat sheets is because my biochemistry professor allowed cheat sheets. And I asked him why. And he said, students that do well don't use the cheat sheets they brought, and students that don't do well waste all their time bringing the cheat sheets they brought. So I'm giving you that cheat sheet in hopes that all of you will be so prepared with it that you won't use it. But I do have to give that warning. It's not an advantage. It is the biggest risk that I allow in my class. And it's not a risk that bets on me. It's a risk that takes its toll on you. Okay, what else? Things that you have questions about from the syllabus, things that you didn't see in the syllabus that you want to understand. Can I get just 2 things?
There's only 1 midterm and 1 final instead of like 3 midterms and a final.
Good. 1 midterm, 1 final. I used to do 3 midterms and a final, but I also wanted you guys to take the exams back, learn from them, and prepare for the final, which meant I could never reuse an exam because they're out there for the world to have. And it got really hard to write 4 exams every semester for all of my classes, so I stopped. The way that our class is organized now is in units, and the first 3 units have their own unit test, and then the midterm will cover those first 3 units. And then the last 2 units, they have their own unit tests, and then the final is cumulative. So only 2 exams, which makes it much, much easier for me to do my job in giving a new assessment every semester. And I have created an exam archive under the midterm module. You will see all of my old midterms. Keep in mind that the older ones at the top are split up as midterm 1, midterm 2, midterm 3. And then the newer ones, this only started fall of 24. The newer ones are listed as just midterm. So again, I give out my exams so that you can study from them and learn from them. These students that were in my OCHEM 1 are getting their OCHEM 1 finals back from just a couple weeks ago, which means that they're out there and I'm putting them out there. I'm not hiding anything. My recommendation, though, if you want to study off of this, start with the more recent ones because that's more likely to be similar to what you're going to see. Don't start with the old ones because that's less likely to be what I'm going to do on your exam. What else?
Are unit tests open note?
Great question. Unit tests are open notes, and you have an entire weekend to do them. These are not on Lockdown Browser because I don't know why they would be. Okay, I do know one reason why they would be. I don't want you to use the internet because then you're going to find answers to questions that are phrased in ways that I don't teach. So I can usually tell if a student has used the internet to get an answer for a unit test question because the answer is correct, but just not the way that I present it at all. I don't want you to use the internet. I want you to use your notes because your notes are more similar to what your exams are going to be like. And your exams make up, do you guys know how much your exams make up in your final grade? 40%. I changed it. Okay, full transparency, I had a student that received like an 18% on the final this last spring, plugged that 18% into the final, and it brought their grade from a B+ to a B. That just didn't sit right with me. Clearly, the exams weren't weighted heavily enough. If an 18%, no shade to that student, but an 18% on the cumulative final should should speak volumes about how it impacts your grade. So I have recently changed my weights. So the final and midterm used to be 30% collectively. Now the final and midterm are 40% collectively, which I think means that student probably would have been from a B+ to a C+. But that is a more realistic impact if you get an 18% on the final. Since your exams are the highest stake assignment in the class, and because I want you to know them, I want you to know how I'm going to ask questions. So I want you to be reviewing the notes. So I want you to do your unit tests with your notes. I don't want you to do it with the internet. The thing is, students that rely on internet and even notes sometimes on the unit tests find themselves ill-prepared on the actual midterm and on the final because they used that crutch a little bit too much before they came in for the exam. So my recommendation here would be try taking your unit test without any resources. Imagine it's an exam. Sit down, answer every question, and then go back to your notes and review the questions that you feel shaky on. Try to look for answers that you might not feel so confident about. That way you're really kind of analyzing how well you know. But if you go through each question just answering it from your notes before moving on, you're not really pushing yourself to learn from the unit test. So it is open notes, it's not lockdown browser. There's also two parts. Part A is multiple choice, 2 attempts. I know for those of you that have had my class before, you're used to 10 multiple choice questions. It's going to be at least 10 multiple choice, up to 20. I'm not quite sure yet, but I plan on adding questions this summer. So part A is multiple choice, 2 attempts. Part B is short answer, 1 attempt. And I want you to upload your work at the end of it. So that means it's going to be drawing a mechanism or showing a synthesis. And you could do that on your iPad, you could do that on a piece of paper, you could do that on a whiteboard, whatever you need to do. And then just take a picture of it, save it as a Word doc, a PDF, a JPEG. It's really nice actually if you upload, there's usually more than one question in Part B. And if you just upload both answers in one document, you can just submit it for one of the questions. You don't have to submit it for both questions. That actually saves me time in grading. Because then I can just click on one thing and grade both questions. But I'll accept anything. This is where I'll give you feedback. I will go into your Part B and I will give you feedback on whether your synthesis is right, whether your mechanism is right, whether your reagents are right, what mistakes you have. I won't give you feedback on Part A because by getting 2 attempts, you already get that feedback. You're seeing what you got wrong and what you got right. So you're getting feedback on what you know and what you don't. When you go back in for the second attempt on Part A, it will not be the same questions. These questions are pulled from question banks around a topic. So you will get a question on reagents, a question on product, a question on starting material. And that bank has 3 different questions that it can pull. So when you go in for your second attempt, you're likely to get a different combination of questions. Maybe some repeats, but definitely a different combination. Be aware of that. Don't be surprised when you take your second attempt and you have to actually master the concept, not just master the question. Okay. Did that answer your question? That was your question? Anything else?
Will you create practice exams or will we use the old exams as practice?
Good question. What do you think?
I'm not sure.
So my spring final is posted. My spring midterm is posted. That to me is as much practice as I could ever give. Because you can download it, you can time yourself, You can start over fresh. The answer key is posted. For me to make a practice final or a practice midterm, I basically just did a few weeks ago for the spring class. Now I'm giving it to you as a practice. Yeah. There are some you'll see in the archive that are named practice. When I first started, my first semester, I had no practice exam because I had never taught before. So I made a practice and then I made a final. So you might actually see duplicates from some semesters. But yes, the old versions are the ones for you to practice on. You bet. Okay, anything else?
Will you have slides that we can download and like write notes on?
Yes and no. So there are some slides posted in the modules. I don't use them a lot anymore. I am not a professor that reads off of slides. But there are some on there. They're just not necessarily in order anymore of how I go through the material. So you're welcome to use them. You're welcome to look through them. I also have all of my OCHEM 1 materials and like really detailed PowerPoint slides that I used to use in OCHEM 1. But actually the PowerPoints that I have are like made to be notes. So they have very little going on inside of it. Maybe just an image or two, and then you can use it to take notes on. But I won't be doing that very much. Instead, what I'll be doing are worksheets that I'll bring in, and those worksheets will kind of correlate with the material that we're going to go through. So I would recommend having a notebook that you can take notes on and then reference the worksheet that we're going through at the same time so that you know where some of those practice problems are. I wanted to point out the schedule. Remember I said the unit tests are open for an entire weekend. So we'll have class Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Unit tests will open Friday morning, and it will close Monday at 11:59 p.m. It closes at 11:59 p.m. regardless of how much time you have left on your tests. So if you start your Part B at 11:30, you've got 29 minutes, not an hour, to take your test. I typically grade unit tests the day after they're done, but I'm going to be in here at 8 a.m. the day after they're done, so I'm not really sure when I'm going to grade them. I think probably Wednesday afternoons. I have a Tuesday and Thursday labs in the afternoons. Maybe I'll have time to grade those in the labs, but otherwise I'll grade them Wednesday afternoons. I will make an effort to grade your unit tests within a week, which is a big deal because then you have another unit test the next weekend. This is going to be like every other weekend. Put these in your calendars. Please know that they're coming. I had a student in the spring that messaged me and said, "You never said anything in the recordings about the unit test, so I thought you canceled it." Okay. I think I would have sent a message out if I canceled the unit test. I think the Canvas due date would have changed. I think a lot of things would have happened. This is pretty much hard locked. I'm not planning on changing this. Another thing I want to point out about the schedule, if you scroll down to the bottom, it has my weekly schedule. So you can see my student hours, but you can set up times to meet with me outside of these student hours as well. I also have information about our final exam. Our class starts at 8, but our final exam starts at 9:10, and it's in this classroom. I am getting married this summer, mid-June. Actually, while you guys are taking that unit test, I'll be getting married. I don't really think that's going to impact our class dynamic at all. Since we don't have class on Fridays, and we don't have class on Mondays, I might take a long weekend, but you guys are going to be doing a unit test anyways, so there's not a lot that I'm going to have to work with you on there. Oh, there are written homework assignments. You know how those Part Bs are short answer? You're going to have to solve mechanisms. You're going to have to solve syntheses. I don't want you to have to go into those mechanisms blind without knowing whether you know it or not. So I have written homework where you solve mechanisms and solve syntheses. And upload it for me to grade. And I grade those before the unit test so that you can go into the unit test with my feedback and ideally do better on the synthesis on the unit test than you did in the synthesis on the actual written work. The written work and all homework has basically unlimited attempts. I will take your written work as many times as you need to get a perfect 100% on it. You also have an online homework platform called Active. There you actually only have 15 attempts, but that's because I used to do 50, and then students were like, I want to give up on this problem, and I just can't submit fast enough to get through all 50 and give up. So it's down to 15. If you use 10 attempts and you're not getting the answer yet, you should just reach out to me. Don't waste all 15 of them before reaching out. On Active, it's almost always lone pairs. If you feel really confident that your answer is right, but it's not taking it, it probably just wants some lone pairs shown. Okay, so homeworks are due before the unit tests. I'm taking my honeymoon in late July. So the last 2 weeks of classes, we're going to do a final review on the last 2 class periods, but the last 2 weeks of new material, the last unit, I will not be here. Now, I haven't really figured out how to solve this yet. My OCHEM 1 class is being covered by another professor, but my OCHEM 2 class, I'm not quite sure. The one option is for you guys just to watch past lecture videos and then reach out to me for questions and I'll answer them. Another option is that I get a guest lecturer to actually come in and facilitate those lectures, or at the very least, have you watch the lecture videos and then have that guest lecturer facilitate the in-class worksheets and discussions. I think that I'm leaning towards having a guest lecturer facilitate the worksheets because the only person that I can think of that probably will be available does just read off of PowerPoint slides. So I'm not sure that you'll get a lot out of just sitting in there watching PowerPoint slides. But having someone that knows the material and can help you answer worksheet problems, a lot better. We'll see how that goes. Not my favorite to have to be gone right in the best part of the semester, but I'll be back to help prepare you guys for the final. Okay, anything else? Thank you. Those of you that have had my OCHEM 1, especially recently, you will notice that our Canvas course looks different. I'm trying a new layout. So please read through the Start Here page. This is basically a combination of what my homepage used to look like. But now when you access Canvas, you'll just always come to the modules. But there are these like very common class resources and very common external resources that I want you guys to be aware of. I have this endless practice problems resource run by AI, built by AI by a professor from somewhere, I don't remember where. But if you feel like you need, oh, skip that, that's crazy. If you feel like you need practice with mechanisms, skip that too. There are mechanism problems on here. Now I will say this is not exactly what I would like to see in a mechanism because it doesn't have the arrows start from lone pairs. I also know that some of you may have been taught how to do mechanisms differently than I would like to see. I also know that some of you have not been taught mechanisms basically at all. And so I'm going to try and catch you guys all up to speed on what I want you to do this semester. But take advantage of these resources. They can be very helpful. Okay. can I have us go through and share our names, major, and if you have a fun fact, I'd love to hear it. I'm going to get your names down. And at the end, I'll collect those little pieces of paper as like your attendance for this week. Helps me know who is in the class, who needs to be dropped. But after this first week, you don't need to be worried about being dropped.
My name is Justice. He, him pronouns. I'm a biology and biochemistry double major. And the fun fact is I am a fraternal twin.
Nice. Are they also a double major?
No.
Thank you, Justice.
Hi, my name is Salsaville. My pronouns are she, her. I'm hoping to become a pharmacist in my future career. And my fun fact is that I don't know how to swim and I want to learn how.
What is pushing that drive to want to learn how to swim?
I just, in my head, I'm like, what if there's an emergency one day and I need to save them?
There you go.
It's like my anxiety-ridden part of my
That's good. That's
personality.
good. I recommend not learning how to swim in the Great Salt Lake. Find somewhere cleaner.
Oh yeah, probably like your paper or something.
Good idea.
Yeah.
And can you say your name again?
Salsabile.
Salsabile.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm also the same double major of biochem and bio major. Pronouns are she, her. And then my fun fact is I like trying like new hot pot places, but I hear that Utah is not the greatest place for that.
Why do you fear that?
It's just not good. It's just not good here, but it's okay.
Like, it's not good flavor. It's not good sanitary-wise. It's not good, like, experience.
It's like for me, I like to test based on the broth,
Mm.
and so I think it's a little watered down here.
Interesting. Because there are a lot of hot pot places.
Yeah, it kind of tastes like a lot of them taste like water.
Oh, yeah. You know, the first time I went to a hot pot, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I was like, you want me to cook my own meat? I would rather like a chef that knows how to cook meat do that rather than me in front of this in my hot water. Thanks, Stephanie.
My name is Esmeralda, she, her pronouns. I'm a biology major, and my fun fact is I love corn.
You love
Corn.
corn. On the cob, off the cob.
And all.
You know, in Wisconsin, I grew up in Wisconsin, and we had corn for dinner. Yeah, corn on the cob, salt and butter, and a glass of milk. That was it. Like, it wasn't the starter, it wasn't a side, that corn was the meal. We actually had a canning factory in our backyard, and my dad would just walk home from work, grab an armful of corn, and then just walk up to the house, and we'd have corn for dinner. I love corn too. Thank you, Esmeralda.
My name is Abhishek. I'm a biomedical engineering major. My pronouns are he, him. I'm from Nepal, and I like to do hiking sometimes, but only when it's challenging. So, like, I'm not the best, but I will go up for a challenge.
So you don't feel like you're the best hiker, so you'll only hike if it's a challenging hike,
Yeah.
so that everybody else feels like they're on the same playing field as you. Everybody's having a challenge.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Have you done any fun hikes out here, Abhishek?
Well, in Colorado and Arizona, and I'm planning to go to Washington in the summer. I've done the highest
Yeah.
peaks. I haven't done, what is it, Kings Peak here?
Yep.
But
So you've done Mount Albert in Colorado?
yeah, and then I did Humphreys in Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Very cool. Good for you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alec. I'm a biochemistry and chemistry double major at UU. And a fun fact is I have a third major, and it's piano performance.
Very nice. I have a brother-in-law that double majored in nursing and music. And you'd think they're like polar opposites, but those are all languages. Music is a language, chemistry is a language. And so you probably just have a very strong language cortex in your brain or whatever. You said it was piano? How long have you been playing for?
Since I was like 6.
Yeah, as early as you could get your feet to the pedals.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you, Alec.
I'm Murray, pronouns he, him. My major is health society and policy. And then fun facts, I like snowboarding and golfing.
Nice. You ever snowboarded while you golfed? Or golfed while you snowboarded?
No.
Health, society, and
Policy.
policy. So why are you taking OChem too?
Pre-med.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. That's a great background to go into medicine with. Gives you a very holistic view before you do clinical stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Murray.
Yeah, thanks.
My name's Evan, pronouns he, him. I'm a chemical engineering major, and I love chess, I play Magic the Gathering, and I love music. Been mostly listening to rock right now, but I'm big into like EDM, mostly EDM.
I feel like those feel like two different worlds. Magic the Gathering and EDM.
Yeah, I'm like all over the place.
That's great. Do you have any like artists right now that stands out to you as your favorite to listen to?
Well, artist right now. I like, so like, there's a Radiohead song, Karma Police. I'm sure a lot of people probably know it. But Pierce the Veil did a cover of it, and I'm like, I'm really obsessed with that.
Nice.
So.
Cool. Thank you, Evan.
My name's Bailey, my pronouns are she, her. I just got my bachelor's in biology from UU, and I'm planning to apply for pharmacy school soon. And my fun fact is I love cats. I have 2.
What are their names?
Barry and Kai.
Barry and Kai. What kind are they?
They're both like just domestic short-hairs. Adopted for best friends.
Oh, yeah. We looked at best friends when we adopted Asuli. We originally wanted to try fostering because we had 2 adult cats that would tear each other apart. And we thought, like, maybe this isn't the home to bring a kitten into. So we'll test it out with fostering. And best friends said, you shouldn't foster. Like, you should just get a cat. Because fostering often they like give you the cats with infections or cats that just like need help.
That's how I got one of my cats.
Oh, yeah?
I fostered them like a mother and my 3 kids. My kid just like did not get adopted. So now he's mine.
Which one was that?
Sky.
Very cool. Thank you, Jaylee.
I'm Pamela. My pronouns are she, her. I just graduated with a French major, and I'm pre-dental, and my fun fact is I speak French fluently.
Fluently. How did you pick up on fluent French?
So I did the dual immersion program, so I started when I was in 1st grade, and it was
Okay, so you started learning French in 1st grade, but who taught it to you? Like,
so it's like half in English and then half in French. Like I learned like history and like math in English and like science and something else in French.
where was that? Here in Utah?
Yeah, it was a Diamond Ridge Elementary.
Wow, that's very cool. And why dentistry?
What I did the dental assisting program like in high school, and then once I started that, I loved it. And once I mastered it, I loved it.
Very cool. Thank you, Pamela.
I'm Ray. Pronouns are she, her. I'm going into pharmacy, and I love to draw, like anime. I also like EDM.
Very cool. Do you sketch during class?
A lot of times, yeah.
And I know you watched a lot of the lecture recordings in the spring. Did you would you like just sketch out stuff while you're listening to them?
So much.
Do you have anything that you like to draw the most? Creatures, art,
Just anything
plants?
in front of me. Like if I see it and just, I think it's just like different in shading and shadows and stuff. It's very interesting perspective-wise.
Very cool. Thank you, Ray.
Hi, I'm Vivi. Pronouns are she, her. I just graduated from the U with a sociology degree and 2 minors.
I'm pre-med, and my fun fact is that I watch a lot of movies. I like movies a lot.
Congratulations on your graduation. What's the most recent movie you've watched?
What did I watch the other day? Oh, I just finished the Dune movies because I've been putting those
Mm.
on, which I really liked.
Really?
Yeah, I actually really, really liked them. So.
Have you read the books?
No, I'm actually gonna read them. So that's gonna be my new because there's like 6.
Okay,
So that's gonna be my new project.
cool.
Yeah, but I actually really liked those.
Thanks, Phoebe.
Okay, my name is Juan Cal, she, her pronouns. I'm a bio major, and a fun fact is that I hate ketchup.
How'd you find that out?
I don't know, it's just when I was younger, I just hate the taste. I also can't stand the smell. I can't with it.
I mean, it's understandable. And it's not all tomato things, it's just ketchup.
It's just ketchup.
Yeah. Maybe you need to like make your own ketchup and see if you can, make the ingredients just right.
Yeah, maybe.
You could like start a revolution on ketchup. It's kind of a monopoly right now, so. And it was Quan Cao?
Juan Cal, yeah.
Thank you.
My name's Evan, he, him pronouns, wanting to go into pharmacy, and my fun fact is that I love going to lots of concerts.
What was your most recent concert?
Oh, most recent concert, Mac DeMarco.
Mac DeMarco?
Yes.
Oh, I don't think what kind of music is that?
Indie.
Here in Salt Lake?
Yes, it was at the Complex.
The Complex. Very cool. Is that your flavor in concerts is indie concerts?
100%.
Yeah? How often do you think you go in a year? Oh, I see you've got his shirt on.
Yeah. Also
Yeah,
see
we
the
were
shirt.
too.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Probably maybe upwards to 30 a year.
Wow.
I go a lot.
Do you have like a season pass to concerts?
Nope, just
You
straight
pay
out
for
of
every
pocket.
single one. That's crazy. Thank you, Evan.
I'm Jordan. I have my degree in nursing, but I'm pre-med. My pronouns are she, her, and I love to travel.
You traveled this spring, right?
I did.
Came back with a gorgeous tan.
Oh, well, yeah, I went to the DR, but then I just got back from like Ireland, Scotland, and London first.
You did 2 trips already this spring? Good for you. How long was your island trip? You said you went to Scotland and Ireland?
Yeah, I was like 3 days in Ireland, 3 days in Scotland, and then 3 days in London, and we just like went to Paris.
Yeah, just swung by Paris.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, I did that as well. I flew into London, up to Edinburgh, and then over to Glasgow?
Yeah.
No, Northern Ireland,
Yeah.
and then down to Dublin. But that was during COVID, and it was like super scary that I didn't know if I'd get back if I tested positive, It's easier times traveling these days. Thanks, Jordan.
My name is Mimi. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a dual major, so I just graduated with biology and zoology. And a fun fact, I also like concerts. I just got back from BDC. That's why my voice is down. But 3 days of partying have not of it. So. But yeah.
And what did you say you're going into?
Biology and zoology. Yeah, so I'm like a pre-vet major.
Pre-vet.
Yeah.
Very cool. What kind of animals do you want to work with?
I really want wildlife, or like they call it exotics, but anything that's outside of cat and dogs is basically exotics, except for like farm animals.
Right.
So, bunnies, snakes, reptiles, rodents.
Those are all considered exotic animals?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
considered exotics, but that's kind of my cup of tea.
Yeah.
We'll see, because it's not where the money is right now.
Yeah. I've had another student that's going into that exact same thing. And I was surprised to hear that like the best offers were from the schools in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Like Trinidad and Tobago has a vet school
Yeah,
that
we're
does.
going to like the PR as well.
Mm,
It's pretty good.
yeah.
It's just tough to try to go up there.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to leave my mom. My mom's my best friend, so I'm like, no.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know what you need in a vet school. And there's one nearby, right? USU now has one?
Yeah.
You gonna try and apply up there?
No, because I'm gonna take a gap year or 2, just because I was like hardcore grinding school for too long.
Mm-hmm.
But they used to have to do 2 years here and then 2 in Washington.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I guess now you can do all 4 here.
Thanks, Mimi.
My name is Jude. I go by
Yeah. No, tell them about the restaurant you worked in.
Oh, I worked at First City in the Madison Park, which is actually a 3 Michelin star.
3 Michelin star restaurant. So if you want good food, get to be friends with Ju, and he knows how to make good food. Thanks, Ju.
My name's Juana, my pronouns are she, her. I'm going to pharmacy school in fall, and my fun fact is that I was born in Thailand.
Oh, very cool. My brother lives in Bangkok right now. And during my honeymoon, we're trying to go to Malaysia, and we might swing through Thailand. Is there a region you'd recommend?
Probably like Phuket,
Phuket.
more beachy.
Okay, cool. And I have to ask, are you 2 sisters?
Yeah, we're twins.
Twins. Okay. Fraternal twins. Okay. Very cool. Because I saw your names on the list, same last name, and unique for Utah, I would say. And your names are so similar too, Kwana and Kwankao. Okay. I'm sure I'll keep you apart, easy. Do you guys always keep your hair up and your hair down? Great. Yeah, we'll see how well this goes. Thanks for giving me some grace as I get used to it.
I'm Brenna, and my pronouns are she, her. I am hoping to go to pharmacy school this fall. I also love cats, so they keep finding me.
They find you.
Yes. And I play clarinet and bass clarinet.
Maybe that's how they find you. They hear you playing music and they're called. My cat also hates when I play guitar. As soon as I grab it, she sees it and bolts for the other room. Yeah. How many cats do you have?
Oh, a lot. I'm taking care of my brother's 2 cats. Well, 2 because one of the cats that found me were having him adopt. So I have 5.
Wow. Yeah, you know, I never thought I'd have cats, and now I live with 3. And one is just never enough. You need more cats. They need to have company. They need to have friends. Okay, well, thank you guys for indulging me in that. I want to spend our last 10 minutes of class going through the fundamental forces. This is not something I ever test on, but in my opinion, it is the foundation of all science. So it's a great way for us to kind of ramp into this semester. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the 4 fundamental forces, but they are central to science, central to physics, central to chemistry. I like to start with the weakest force, which is gravity. Arguably, gravity is not actually a force. It is an experience, feels like a force. Kind of like centripetal force, where you feel like you're getting pulled out backwards, but you're not actually, you're just moving in a straight line and you're spinning. Gravity is an experience in that space-time is warped by matter. And it feels like you're getting pulled towards something of heavier mass, but actually you're just moving in a straight line through warped space-time. So can you guys tell me what types of things experience this force? What is felt by gravity? Everything? Everything big? Like what? Not atoms? Atoms don't experience gravity? Because I think I'm made of atoms, and it feels like these atoms are being pulled by gravity. So I think we can say things with mass. Things with mass feel gravity. But if you guys listen to like astrophysics TikToks the way that I do, you maybe have heard of gravitational lensing, where galaxies that are behind very dense galaxies have their light warped around through space-time, and you can actually see one singular galaxy more than once because of the way that it gets pulled around these other galaxies. So things with mass experience gravity. Light also experiences gravity because, again, it's not a force. It is warped space-time. The next force is the weak nuclear force. This is the second weakest force. It happens inside of the nucleus. To give you an example of what the weak nuclear force does, if we take an isotope of carbon-14 and watch it decay into nitrogen-14, we are seeing the weak nuclear force involved in that proton, in that neutron becoming a proton. So recognize that carbon-14 and nitrogen-14 have the same mass, so they must have the same total number of protons and neutrons. But by definition of the chemical symbols, they have a different number of protons. Here I've got 6 protons and 8 neutrons, and they're being flipped. One neutron is becoming a proton. And it's really confusing. I don't know that I understand it very well, but the weak nuclear force is involved in that process. Protons and neutrons are made up of quarks, up quarks and down quarks, and it's a flipping of a quark that changes a proton to a neutron, which also is why the charge changes. Quarks have, just learned this recently, quarks have a minus 1/3 or a positive 2/3 electric charge. Quarks are not even numbers in their charges, but when you get 2 positive 2/3 and 1 negative 1/3, it sums together to a positive 1, which is how we get the proton. And when you flip that to a 1 positive 2/3 and 2 minus 1/3, that cancels out to no charge, a neutron. And the weak nuclear force is involved in there. Then I want to talk about the strong nuclear force. Now this is the strongest, but it's not the most important to us. The strong nuclear force is important inside of a nucleus, where we see protons butted up against protons. Does it ever surprise you that inside of a nucleus you can have those positively charged protons sat right next to each other? Take those magnets that you have, take the like end of that magnet, and try to push the like ends of the magnet next to each other. What do you feel? You feel that repulsion. Those like ends of the magnet do not want to sit next to each other. So in order to get those to stop repelling, in order to get those like ends of the magnet, those like charges, next to each other, you need a very strong force. A force that overcomes the electromagnetic force. And this is the most important force to us as chemists. The electromagnetic force has 2 components. There's an electric component and a magnetic component. Electric components are positive or negative. Magnetic components are north and south. They've got this symmetry about them. If you take a charged particle, something with an electric force, and you make it spin, it creates a magnetic moment. A spinning charged particle creates a magnetic field. These are not 2 separate forces, they're 2 sides of the same coin. And if you have a magnetic field, you can get a charged particle to change direction inside of that magnetic field. You can make charged particles move using magnetic fields. I charge my phone at night with a magnet charger. What am I trying to say there? I don't know. Huh? MagSafe? Yeah, wireless charger. Clips on with a magnet, and then it starts charging the phone because the magnet is forcing those electrons to move into a higher energy state. I'm using magnetic force to impact electrons. Everything that we do this semester, I want you to feel that opposite ends of magnets pull each other in and how it takes energy to pull them out. That is the electromagnetic force. And when we talk about bonding, we're talking about electrons that are flying around a nucleus and how that is energetically stable because opposite charges attract, and to get them away from each other, you have to put in energy. But also, like charges repel, and so to get things of similar energies towards each other, like in order to do a reaction, you need to get these nuclei to come close to each other. You need to get these electron clouds to come close to each other. You have to get one nucleus and its electron cloud to overlap with another nucleus and its electron cloud, and that means you're going to have this repulsive force that you need to overcome in order for a reaction to occur. I want all of these magnets back. They were a Christmas present from my partner, so that I could use them for all of my classes. So for the sake of the next class, I'll keep them. But the analogy lives on all semester long. I will be referring to our molecules, our reactants, our products as magnets. Strong magnets, weak magnets, all sorts of different types of magnets. That's all chemistry is. It's studying magnets. Okay, keep that worksheet, but I'd like the little note card and your magnets. Have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.